Hello everyone. Well, a couple of sessions ago, we talked about listing your hard and soft skills of doing a personal inventory and splitting your assets into technical and non-technical core strengths. Now, technical people who are founders can be successful in building a high-value business, but it's equally important to find those highly sought-after, what I call EQ skills that complement the needs of the business. In the same respect, those founders who have founded an idea and have core strengths in sales and marketing, for example, it's important to have technical people to build those assets necessary to bring the product to life. I always found that a founder can successfully raise a company on their own, but sometimes two can be better than one under certain situations. I mean, if you look at some of the most successful businesses, many had the support of a partner, whether they got along or not. A great example of this are founders of Apple, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, or Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons that founded Def Jam, or Danielle Weisberg and Carly Zakin who founded The Skim, and of course Larry Page and Sergey Brin, founders of Google. However, the challenges of having a co-founder can far outweigh sometimes the benefits if you choose a partner unwisely. Much like being married and later filing for a divorce that can result in a very painful experience and ultimately can lead to the failure of your company. There is a well-known term, shoot the inventor, quoted by Sir Richard Story, who was a British newspaper publisher and venture capitalist. But on the other side are inventors who are known to have the outstanding creative abilities and quote-unquote mankind's ultimate capital asset, as quoted by Arnold Toynbee, a 20th century English historian and philosopher. Now, you may be one of those people, however, that values your freedom, independence, and control, but you also have to weigh the scales of whether you have the capital to see your dreams come to the dreams to the end and can live with an unpredictable income and deal with the responsibilities such as leading your employees or pitching in front of a crowd of investors. Yet for those founders, a solution may very well be that you would rather find the right team to surround yourself and being creative with compensation, such as offering founder level shares. Now, there is no formula for this, unfortunately, and a ton of books out there that can provide valuable wisdom and knowledge. But here we will highlight some things that you can look out for when choosing to go it alone with a co-founder or co-founders. Let's take a look at 3 ways in assessing whether finding a co-founder is right for you. Now, your first assessment is doing a personal inventory, such as the one I outlined in the very first session of the technical and non-technical skills and the strengths and technical skills. So there are a lot more advanced assessment and psychological tools out there in discovering what kind of person you are. Either way, this personal inventory and discovering your strengths and weaknesses should be your utmost top priority as a first step. Second is whether you've had great rapport with someone over the past year or two who has added significant value to implementing your idea and are just as passionate about the idea as you. I mean, this is obviously very difficult to assess whether they are founder level material, but the beauty of that decision is you are in control of making that choice. So let me help you in providing my opinion, and for the sake of keeping things to the point, there are 2 points in this second point you can use to make an assessment whether you want your potential partner to join you. The first one is they should have either skin in the game, and secondly, have highly valuable complementary skills. Now, the first driver in the second point would be to assess how much skin in the game they're willing to sacrifice. Or what this means is, for example, if you are putting in the capital, they should be bringing in an equal amount of capital or frontline assets that help bring your company to life. Or if you are more of a technical person with no capital and your partner is, for example, bringing in the funds, is to assess whether your invention can survive without you. But if you have both the capital and the idea, of course, building it on your own to keep as much equity as possible until you get to a stage of whether you want to consider bringing on a co-founder or not, or perhaps you found investors who are happy to allow you to control all the decisions and innovations of the company. Now, the second would be to ask yourself, do they have highly valuable complementary skills? I like to use the example again of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, as it is a story very familiar to all of us. where you had jobs as the charismatic leader and Wozniak, the inventor and technical genius. Now, the final and third assessment overall, when looking for a co-founder or co-founders or going at it alone, is the issue of trust. Can you trust your potential co-founder? This can be tough or can be relatively easy. On one side, it's tough because trust is not an easy thing for some, as you may fear of falling victim to betrayal later down the line. Hence, you need to be careful who you marry, but at the same time, when you make that decision, you should be both jumping in, trusting each other 100%, and make each other's roles and responsibilities very clear. Trust is an area of business that I will dive deeper into later sessions, as for now, we are providing you the basic building blocks, or a checklist, if you will, of starting the company the right way from the start. As the foundation of any business building, of building a home or a building, for example, a high-rise or an apartment or a skyscraper, you got to start by securing the foundations of the future by digging a deep hole into the ground, implementing the reinforcements and structure strong enough to hold this architecture from the ground up. Now, an example of implementing a framework of trust is, for example, making sure you have a shareholders agreement as a first step. This lays the foundation of your relationship and can be an effective mediator if your partnership is at risk and goes down south in the future. It's a document you can both refer to if you get into an argument or a disagreement. Another document would be to make sure that you have a technology transfer agreement in place that secures the inventor and the company, that the assets are owned by the company, but also that the invention is not, quote unquote, stolen, with a clear exchange of shares, less, equal, or more of the company, depending on the maturity of the invention and whether the inventor will take on a board and or management position. So none of the above should be a rush job, but rather the basic ABCs when starting a company. If you are compelled enough to drive the business forward on your own, full of passion, energy, and being laser focused, perhaps you prefer not to have a co-founder and rather find great founding employees who can equally drive the business forward as long as you're clear in your direction and mission. The beginning of any company and how you start is perhaps the most important single exercise you should invest in your time to making sure you get it right from the start. Hence, we will spend a few sessions talking about the basic settings of building the foundations of a company before we even start talking about anything else. Because if you get this right in the beginning, it will save you a lot of time, pain, and loads of money, and then execution on building, growing, and scaling the business where you could actually focus your attention on. I like to use the example of a classic movie that is an all-time favorite of mine called The Karate Kid, when Mr. Miyagi made Daniel LaRusso wipe the floors, cars, and anything in his path with the wax on and wax off circular movements, and did only this for a couple of weeks. Now, Daniel, the young student, saw what he was doing being completely pointless and extremely frustrated about these useless moves and wasting his time. But later, during a heated discussion, it was revealed by Mr. Miyagi, by making Daniel waxing on and waxing off during a reality session against his teacher, that he saw the valuable basic training of this one method to the basis of self-defense, which helped lay the building blocks of what later made him champion. So remember, well over 90% of businesses fail, and it is my sincere hope that these sessions will help you reduce the probability of failure and increase the probability of success. See you in the next session.